People have been floating the idea of a general strike in the United States, and I totally get it. When people feel ignored, when voting, marching, calling, and writing letters doesn't seem to make a difference, refusing to participate in the system that ignores you starts to sound like the only option left. And I'm not saying they're wrong, quite the contrary, but it's important to understand what that means in practice. It means people choosing to stop feeding an economy and a government that takes their labor, their taxes, and their time while giving less and less back in return. It means saying, if you won't represent us, we won't keep running your machine. If you've been watching what's happened in France over the past few years, you've seen what that looks like in action. Millions of people have taken to the streets and walked off the job to protest government policies, most recently about raising the retirement age. Public transportation shuts down, schools close, trash piles up, energy plants pause production. It isn't a single day of protest. It's an entire country saying, we refuse to keep things running until you listen. That's what a general strike really is. It's not chaos, it's collective refusal. And it's worked in France for decades because their system is built in a way that makes that kind of unity possible. In France, when people strike, they don't just make noise, they make everything stop. Trains, buses, schools, refineries, the rhythm of the country comes to a halt. And that's because in France, all roads lead to Paris. The whole nation is wired through one system: transportation, energy, communication, government, all connected through the same center. So when workers in Paris walk out, the effects ripple across the country. There's nowhere for leaders to hide, no way to wait it out or blame someone else. If Paris stops, France stops, and everyone knows it. That's why strikes there work so often. The government has to negotiate because the people have the leverage. And the people know they have it. Here in the United States, it's different. Our country isn't built around one center. It's spread out. We're a patchwork of 50 states and thousands of separate systems, most of them privately run and disconnected from one another. All roads here don't lead to one place. They lead everywhere and nowhere, all at once. So when people walk out in one city, the next one keeps running. A strike in California might not even make headlines in Florida. That doesn't mean we can't organize something powerful. It just means it would take extraordinary coordination and a shared purpose that crosses every state line and every social divide. The French are able to pull it off because they treat striking as civic duty, not selfishness. People who aren't in unions still march beside those who are. Small shop owners close their doors in solidarity. The strike isn't seen as disruption, it's participation. It's democracy reminding itself who's really in charge. Here in the US, we've been taught the complete opposite. When something slows down or shuts off, we're told to see it as inconvenience instead of courage. If flights are delayed or shelves go empty, we complain, instead of asking why people have to risk their livelihoods just to be heard. That's not by accident. We've been conditioned to think this way. After World War II, America had the most powerful labor movement in the world. Unions didn't just protect wages, they built the middle class. They negotiated weekends, safety standards, pensions, the basic dignity of working life. And that threatened the people at the top of the ladder. So, in 1971, a corporate lawyer named Lewis Powell wrote a memo for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. In it, he warned that free enterprise was under attack from workers, students, and reformers, and he urged corporations to fight back through politics, media, and the courts. That memo became a blueprint. I did a whole series on it. Go check it out. Within a generation, anti-union laws spread, right-to-work campaigns took hold, and public opinion turned against collective action. The Taft-Hartley Act outlawed solidarity strikes, making it illegal for one group of workers to stand with another. Bit by bit, the power of working people has eroded, and a new story has taken its place. that unions are corrupt, that activism is radical, that you alone are responsible for your success or failure. We went from we're all in this together to everyone for themselves. And that's how power shifted upward over time to corporations, lobbyists, and politicians who never forgot how dangerous solidarity can be to them. So if we want a general strike to work in this country, we have to rebuild what they spent over 50 years tearing down. I don't think it's going to start with one dramatic moment. It starts with trust, with people learning to rely on one another again. Local strikes that spread, communities that take care of each other so no one faces retaliation alone. We need to build mutual aid networks for food, childcare, housing, and legal support. Digital coordination that connects workers across states and industries. And the most important piece of all, none of it works without public solidarity. People who can't strike still showing up for those who can, driving supplies, amplifying their voices, refusing to cross picket lines. That's what makes a general strike general. It's not just workers walking off the job. It's society as a whole withdrawing its consent. It's millions of people deciding together that business as usual will not continue until justice does. The French know this instinctively. They understand that when ordinary people stop, everything stops. That's not rebellion, that's reality. And it's a reality we in the United States have been encouraged to forget. We've been told our power lives in Washington or on Wall Street or in Silicon Valley, but it doesn't. It lives in the hands of the people who build, teach, grow, clean, drive, and care. That's the real economy and the real democracy beneath all the noise. If we want to reclaim that power, it won't begin with tactics. It will begin with belief. A shift from I'm on my own to we're in this together. From that's not my problem to that's our work to fix, the promise we still owe each other. Because individualism, it might make for a great marketing campaign, but it makes for a terrible democracy. We are meant to rely on each other. That's not weakness, that's strength. And every time we forget that, those in power breathe a little easier. The writer Alice Walker once said, and I have this hanging on my classroom wall, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. That's exactly where we are now, a nation full of people who don't realize that the engine of our democracy, our economy, and our future has always been us. France didn't build its power overnight. They practiced it generation after generation until solidarity became muscle memory. We can do the same. We don't need to be France. We just need to remember who keeps this country running and believe in each other enough to stop together when our country stops serving us. Because the moment we remember that, everything changes. Change in France begins when people walk off the job. Change in America begins when people remember that they can. If this reminded you that power still belongs to the people and that teaching truth matters, my tip jar is in the bio. Every contribution helps keep this work independent, and I'm grateful.